We know that light is necessary, but what we want to do is make sure that we are using light responsibly. So we want outdoor lighting to have as minimal impact on ourselves and our environment as possible. This mission brings people of all backgrounds and interests together, and it just brings me joy to hear their stories and why they do what they want to do.
That's great. Thank you for kind of bringing more light to that,
Yeah.
pun intended.
I wanted people to learn about this issue so that they can fall in love with the same night sky that I did.
When was the last time you looked up at the night sky and actually saw the stars? I'm outside of Washington, D.C., so I don't see stars. But welcome back to the Six Pack. I'm your host, Stacy Huston, Executive Director of SixDegrees.org. And today I'm joined by Michael Rymer, DarkSky Communities Program Manager at DarkSky International. Michael, you're working with communities across the country and around the world to address light pollution and ensure the beauty of the night sky can be enjoyed by everyone.
Yes.
Welcome to the Six Pack.
Thank you for having me, Stacy.
I'm super excited, and we should fully disclose that you are one of the winners of the Purpose Produced campaign, and we're so excited to share more about your work with all of our supporters.
As are we. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So, I mean, let's just jump right in. I'd love for you to just share a little bit about this organization in your own words and talk about how you bring that mission to life.
Sure. So I work for DarkSky International. We are the global leader in combating light pollution through education and programming. We provide resources backed by hard science to inform our advocates about the latest trends and data on light pollution growth, as well as recommendations on what responsible outdoor lighting is and which products fit that definition. DarkSky International used to be called the International Dark Sky Association when it was formed. And it was formed by a couple of astronomers in Tucson, Arizona, which is where our headquarters still are. And over the years, especially recently, the organization has grown both in size of the staff and as well as our volunteer network globally and in the scope of what we do. We have about 20 full and part-time employees in the US, Canada, and the UK. And like I said, a volunteer network that spans the entire globe on every continent, except for Antarctica. We're trying to get there, but it's a hard journey. So I work on our International Dark Sky Place program and our soon-to-be Dark Sky Communities Program, which both these recognize and certify places throughout the world that have committed to establishing dark sky friendly policies, dark sky friendly lighting, and spreading the message about the importance of dark skies to residents and visitors alike. So through these programs, we guide applicants through the certification process by ensuring that they meet our requirements for all of these things and for achieving their recognition.
I thank you. And I think that's a great synopsis. And when I think of Antarctica, I'm assuming they don't have a huge light pollution issue currently.
No, it's mostly penguins, I
Yeah.
think, but they do get a lot more sun during some of the year, so it's
Yeah.
losing battle there.
Yeah, pretty much. Uh, before I kind of jump into our follow-up question,
Mhm.
I want to share a little bit about one of the things that stood out for us when we were learning about your work. I was trying to understand, well, what is light pollution?
Uh-huh.
I, very ignorantly had never actually heard of that term.
Yeah.
And we saw a story about sea turtles.
Mm.
And when they're looking to lay eggs, they come out obviously of the water and they go into the sand.
Yeah.
But then they look for the glow of the ocean, the moon, stars that reflect on the water. But when there's light
Right.
pollution, they go towards the land
Yes.
and they get turned around, which
Yes.
obviously could be fatal.
Yeah.
And that is what really stood out to me. I thought, "Oh, that's just one example of it."
Of course, yeah. Sea turtles are definitely kind of an unofficial mascot, I think, for our organization. We can think of a lot of nocturnal species that do depend on a dark sky for various reasons, but sea turtles are obviously adorable,
Yeah.
and it's very very disappointing, disheartening to know that the very first steps of their life can be negatively impacted by our overuse of lighting at night. And so that's a big component of what we try to do is help our environmental, wildlife to succeed and thrive the way they are naturally able to do.
Thank you for breaking that down. So I'm sure there's lots of rewarding parts of your work, but if you had to really think to what's the most rewarding part, could you
Sure.
share what that is for you?
Yeah, I love working with our volunteers. They're all so passionate about dark skies in this mission, and they just want to do the best that they can to reduce light pollution where they live and work. It's very exciting to talk to people from parts of the country or the world that I have not even heard of. Small towns, especially. It's so great to learn about those, cultures, even here in America, where some things may seem kind of, similar. It's
Yeah.
still every town has its culture. So it's learning about their communities beyond just dark skies. And so this mission brings people of all backgrounds and interests together. And it just brings me joy to hear their stories and why they do what they want to do. So seeing their hard work, their efforts manifest into something positive for our mission is what keeps me invigorated. What I do at Dark Sky is just a small part of this global effort, and there are so many extraordinary people out there doing extraordinary things. And so if I can help them with any of it, just a tiny bit, then it's worth everything.
I can clearly see you're deeply passionate. I actually will say when we announced our partnership with you, a local dark sky volunteer and advocate like reached out, like
Mhm.
was going very hard about like this area and what we can do
Yeah,
here. And I'm like, oh, we should divert all that attention back to like to your team because we're not doing the work. We want to highlight
sure,
the work. We always say we're not the experts, but we're going to point you to the experts.
of course.
Um, and with that being said, when we talk to different change makers on this podcast, we want to
Uh-huh.
talk about why did they choose this line of
Oh, yeah.
work for themselves? And so, what's your story? Like, what is your connection to your why?
Yeah. So my why is I love the stars. And that's what is a big draw for a lot of people to our organization. But we're not trying to be one dimensional. We're not just about stars and astronomy. However, that's my why. So astronomy became an interest of mine after college. I fell in love with it hard, and eventually I came across this organization, the International Dark Sky Association at the time, that was doing work to reduce light pollution. And it struck me that this was an under-discussed issue among the amateur astronomy
Yeah,
community.
I bet.
It's their hobby, but everybody mostly does it from their backyard unless you have the privilege to go somewhere far away
Yeah.
or if you live somewhere remote. So I didn't see that conversation happening enough. So, hobby astronomers lament light pollution, of course. They'll complain about it, but I didn't see anybody really doing anything about it, at least, locally. So, when I came across the International Dark Sky Association, I felt compelled to take a step with the organization to become a volunteer myself, because I wanted people to learn about this issue so that they can fall in love with the same night sky that I did. So a few years back, I was working on my master's degree in recreation management to kind of focus on bringing people out into the nighttime environment to
Yeah.
take in the nighttime. And during that time, there was an opportunity with Dark Sky to become an intern, and I was very fortunate enough to get that opportunity and have grown in my not only my position here, but in my understanding of how the organization runs and how I feel my role as not just a worker, but as a human being can help facilitate even more growth in what we do.
Have you seen the Northern Lights? I feel like that.
Yes.
Yeah, of course you
Yeah.
have. Oh,
So last year, I live in Colorado, live in
okay.
Denver, and last year was a very active year for solar activity, solar weather. As a lot of people in the United States were able to see it even at the lower latitude. So I was very fortunate enough to see it kind of close to my own backyard here in Colorado for the first time in my life. It's
That's so
beautiful.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
people were seeing it all over, even here in Virginia. It was pretty exciting,
Mhm.
because you feel like you have to go so much further, right,
Right.
to see that typically. My
Exactly.
husband and I have become, total eclipse chasers,
Ah, yes.
as they're in the United States. We haven't
Well,
done
yeah.
the whole, like, let's go to a different country for it, but I'm sure once our kids are a little older, we first saw it in Tennessee, like, was
S
that 7 years ago? And then
2017? Yep.
yeah, exactly, and then we saw it last year, we went up to upstate New York,
Cool.
and it got really cloudy, and we were so
Oh,
bummed.
no.
However, we went, onto one of the Great Lakes,
Mhm.
and it was still, like, spectacular. It just
Oh,
turned
fantastic.
dark, and you saw the light come back out over the water. It was
Yeah.
like a sunrise in the middle of the day.
It's something else, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I wanna share some of the facts that we've learned that light pollution is growing at an alarming rate of 10% globally each year, which means it's doubling every 8 years, essentially. And we were reading that 80% of people in the world today live under light polluted skies, unable to see things like the Milky Way or skies filled with stars. And that's having a really negative impact on not just the animals and the habitats, but of course, people's connection to what the great outdoors are
Yeah.
at night. Um, when we think about the work that you all do,
Mhm.
what's one of the and maybe it's a perception or a misconception about that work that
Yeah.
you wish people could understand, about your greater mission?
This is a fantastic question, because I think one of the biggest things that we hear about is that we are anti-light, just 100%, no lights at all, and we're not. We are pro responsible outdoor light at night. We understand the need for lighting at night. We're a 24-hour society. That's just
Yeah.
the way of the world. So we know that light is necessary, but what we want to do is make sure that we are using light responsibly. So we want outdoor lighting to have as minimal impact on ourselves and our environment as possible. So irresponsible light at night is wasteful,
Uh-huh.
and we need to reduce that waste. We need to reduce light pollution, and we do that by implementing what we call our 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting, using light only when needed,
Mhm.
targeting that light to only where it is needed, so not letting it go up into the sky because we don't operate there. Use low level lighting. Overly bright lights are not needed at night because our eyes are able to adjust in low light settings. We need to control our lights better using dimmers, timers, motion detectors, and the like so that they turn off when we aren't using them. And then finally, using warmer color temperatures like an amber color.
Mm.
There's a lot of science behind frequency of wave and wavelengths of light that, higher color temperatures cause more damage than lower color temperatures to certain degrees in certain species. So those 5 principles, all used in unison in a holistic approach, is what we know to be proven to reduce light pollution.
So that brings up 2 different things for me.
Mhm.
One is for those of us on the East Coast,
Oh yeah.
lightning bugs, fireflies are
Yes.
like a nostalgic and, something that when you see them, you're like, "Summer's here."
Yeah.
And we've noticed the last couple years that our yard has gotten less and less and less, and someone
Right.
was sharing that that is also an effect of light pollution because of, uh, the darkness that they need to kind of know when they show their bulbs or not. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know anything more about that, but, for those of us that love lightning bugs, another reason to control our lights. Uh,
Yes.
I also had a neighbor, in our old neighborhood that, if you are on a Facebook group
Mhm.
in your neighborhood, it's typically nice, but sometimes it can get a little wild.
Go off the
Yeah,
rails.
it does. Like, someone take that woman's keyboard away. Um, and she got very, very upset because the whole row of our side of the street didn't have our lights on at night. And she said, "It's not considerate of your neighbors and those of us that have dogs and need to walk our dogs at night." And I just thought, well, that's doesn't make it my responsibility to
Yeah.
light like, you don't even, like, have a headlamp, like,
I
use a flashlight. There's other
yeah.
things we could do here. But so I feel a little more vindicated now that there's an environmental impact that I can point to.
Yes, yes, vindication is the key.
Yeah.
No, and you mentioned, of course, the lightning bug. That's probably what we could call our other unofficial mascot.
Oh,
People love lightning bugs. They love fireflies, whatever we wanna call them, because they are nostalgic.
yeah.
They're they remind us of things that, we have a connection with nature. We see these miraculous little creatures just lighting up the night, doing things that their instinct tells them to do. And the fact that we're, reducing their numbers because of our light at night is of course a tragedy. These species are indicator species that show, they may not be doing the work of a pollinator species might be doing, but the health of an environment, of an ecosystem is is indicated by how many of these lightning bugs, fireflies there are. So the fact that we see fewer and fewer of them shows that our ecosystems are not as healthy as they should be.
That's great. Thank you for kind of bringing more light to that,
Yeah.
pun intended.
Oh, fun.
Let's talk about a memorable, story of impact. We're visual storytellers here at
Oh,
Six
yeah.
Degrees, and so, is there a story from your own work, running a program, working with the volunteers, or something of that nature that really stands out to you?
Yeah. As you can imagine, I am asked to give many a presentation to folks, either online or in person. I especially love the in-person ones because sometimes I get to go to really cool places. So I think my favorite memories working at Dark Sky, doing what I do, is when I speak to a group of people at an event about who we are, what we do, and every single time, without fail, people come up to me asking further questions, and I just love to see that kind of fire lit in their eyes, that this is, like a lot of people such as yourself who didn't really know about this issue, but when they start to think about it, can think of countless examples where they work and live. So they have questions about that. What can I do about my neighbor's lights or this business's lights? What do I do about my entire neighborhood? And they speak with such sincerity and genuine curiosity because they care about what I had to say. And so they always ask how they can get involved so they can do more. And that really kind of, I can't speak to one specific incident of that because they all just kind of come into this blurred, just wonderful collection of memories that are similar in so many ways, but it just adds to knowing that what we do is impactful, what we say is impactful, and it resonates with people, because those are the people who are going to do the work, and that just brings a smile to my face.
I love that, Michael. You're obviously super passionate and very sincere in your efforts and the work that you are doing at Dark Sky. So for the many people that are listening and following along whose eyes are going to light up and they're going to be inspired to want to lean in and learn more about chapters in their areas or how
Oh,
they
yeah.
can support the work that you all are doing, how can folks learn more?
Yeah, I mean, do start small. We're not trying to change the entire world's mind here. And you're gonna get burned out. So start small. Start with where you live. Address your own house's lighting. If you own a business, address that lighting, and then start kind of building your little coalition of friends and family to kind of bring the issue to their mind. And then, kind of just build up from there. Join a chapter or start a chapter if there's not one. We're a nonprofit organization funded solely by our members' generous donations. So if anyone out there feels that dark skies are important and want to support us in our work, every contribution goes such a long way. But we understand that, contributions financially may not be feasible for everyone, and that's all right. That's perfectly fine. We still hope that you can become at least an advocate, a volunteer with us, because spreading the word about the harms of light pollution and the importance of dark skies is just as, if not more important than financially contributing. So we want to enlighten the world, so to speak. So please check us out at DarkSky.org to learn more about who we are and what we do and what you can do to help us.
Thank you so much, Michael. This has been amazing and really enlightening. We're excited to have you a part of our Six Degrees family and to share the work that you're doing with all of those that support and follow us as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.